Every once in a while, I'll watch my dog while we're outside on a walk and wonder what she would be like if she were in the wild. Now, considering she's an Australian Shepherd, she'd probably be more at home on a farm, rounding up cattle, sheep, things like that. But since I'm not a farmer or a rancher, we have to make do with the local squirrel population, making sure that they stay up in the trees where they belong. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Bookshelf Odyssey. My name is Art, and today my guest is Monica Stallman. She writes under the pen name of Leokadia George, and she writes a series of children's books called Trumpet, the Miracle Pup. And it's based on a true story of the good work that the New York conservation team is doing in revitalizing and saving the Mexican gray wolf population. I am very excited to have her on the podcast today to learn more about wolves and their behavior, the work that they are doing, and how we can get involved as well. Because I believe that we ought to be responsible for the world around us, to take care of it, to help it to nourish it, and to help it flourish. So I'm excited to dig into this topic today. A couple of quick announcements. One is that if you're keeping track, this is my 100th episode, and if I had planned better, I would have done something very special today or something different, but it is what it is, I guess. I am really just thankful for everyone for watching and downloading these episodes, and all my guests that have come on, and I've had others recommend guests and provide me some guests, and I'm very thankful for that. I love to show the story behind the writers and to get to know them and what brought them on this writing journey. And today's guest is no different from any of my others. A very fascinating and incredible story. And so I'm looking forward to sharing that. But I did want to acknowledge that we've been doing this now for 100 episodes. And I am looking forward to this new year. And all that we'll bring. I've already got guests lined up for the new year, so we're gonna keep going, keep plugging away. Also, here we're probably in November when this comes out, and definitely these books will make a great Christmas gift for the young reader in your life, or for a teacher who might need some new books in their classroom, whatever. I will make sure to leave those links in the show notes so you can find her books. And again, 50% of the proceeds go to New York wolf conservation work that they're doing. There's a couple other links I want to talk about, but we'll do that after the interview. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and have our interview with Monica Stallman. My guest today on the Bookshelf Odyssey is Monica. She writes under the name of Leokadia George, and she writes a series of children's books called Trumpet, the Miracle Wolf, and it has its origin in a real-life story. We're going to find out all about that and these delightful children's stories that she's written, and so much more, as is always the case here on my podcast. So, Monica, welcome to the Bookshelf Odyssey podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I have a very soft spot when it comes to animals, and when I got an email about your books, and I was just really excited to have you on. So I'm looking forward to talking more with you about that.
Yeah, I'm always excited to tell her story and just get the feedback from people. Just like, wow, this is a real wolf and this really happened. So it's just a fun opportunity to let people know about her.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do like to add books to our to be read pile. So I've got to ask, are you a big reader? Are there certain books you like to read or recommend to people?
Yeah, no, I obviously I kind of like nonfiction books. It could just, I feel like real life is so much more interesting. Um, but one of the books that I recently read was Wake Up Call. Let me see, this is by Kristen. She was one of the widows of 9/11. So it is
Mm,
a huge tearjerker. But it is interesting. It does go into some of the political challenges, for all the people that were affected personally by that tragedy. So I highly recommend that.
mm. Yeah, yeah, that's it's funny. Well, it's not funny. It's odd because I can read about historical events that have happened, and I enjoy it, like reading like about World War II, things like that, and just tragic things. But something about 9/11, like I have a hard time reading about that. That's an event that I remember, and
Right.
but it's not to say I don't, or it's not important to read, because it is. But it's that, I think that experience, like I when I say I experienced it, I was home watching it on TV, in the Midwest, nowhere near it, but it was a really challenging time. But yeah, that's hearing the stories of people that went through those things. I think it's good to read those stories. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and I'm here in New York, so
Oh, okay.
yeah, I wasn't in New York City,
Hmm.
but close enough. I mean,
Oh, sure.
so yeah, obviously it was something that shocked the nation.
Hmm.
I think it's good to read the accounts
Hmm.
of people who are personally affected by it, and it's well written. I just highly recommend it. Obviously, if it might be too much for people, but that's one
Hmm.
of the ones that definitely impacted me more than some other books. So.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good. Now, do you read? I guess, what kind of nonfiction books do you like to read?
One of the series that I like is Game of Thrones. It's a little bit more,
Mm.
I guess, adult
Hmm.
related. Um, but it is, I think, interesting in that, and perhaps this is why I maybe gravitate towards nonfiction as well. The character development is just amazing. I mean, you
Mm.
go from hating certain characters to loving them, and just the backstory, and so I really like that as well.
Hmm. Yeah. Those are books I haven't gotten into. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with fantasy, so there's some I start reading, and it's just I can't get through it. But then the others, it surprises me, and I just am absorbed by it. So yeah, I'm gonna wait and see if of the author finishes the series before I start. So
Yes. I wasn't one of the ones who started from the beginning and waited. I forgot how many years it was till he continued the series. So there are some even more dedicated readers out there and
oh
followers.
yeah, yeah. All right. Uh, well, let's go ahead and look at your stories, your books. And did you always want to be a writer, or how did you get into writing? And maybe we can add Trumpet story in along with your journey.
Well, actually, that's how I got started in writing. I
Hmm.
never wanted to be a writer. It just I like writing, but it just wasn't something that was a goal of mine. Um, and I learned about her story, and that's how it happened. So when I started learning about her story, it was actually from two different staff members at the Wolf Conservation Center where she lives, and they to explain two parts of her story. One was, how she was named. So her nickname is Trumpet. Her real name is F1505. And so she's a critically endangered Mexican gray wolf. She is the 1,505th wolf born into the program to save the species from extinction. That's how they get that name. But obviously a nickname is a lot more fun. And so I did explain it in the book how she got that name. When they went up to the enclosure to look and see if there was a puppy, she was really loud. And so they heard her kind of howling, cooing from one of the boxes there. And so someone made the comment that she's super loud and like a trumpet, and that's how she got that nickname. I also learned a little bit of one of the big challenges in the conservation program to save this species from extinction, and that is fertility challenges. Just like humans, animals can have fertility challenges as well, and her father had definite issues, and so she was considered a miracle. So they kind of referred to her on occasion as the miracle wolf pup. And so I put the two together and I said, every kid should learn about her story because they would really gravitate towards it, resonate with it. And the best format for kids is a children's book, a story. And so I kind of pitched it to the Wolf Conservation Center. I said, you guys should write a story. And they have a lot on their plate. And so they weren't able to take that on. And I just asked, well, can I write it and see if we can get this out there? And they said yes. And, I donate 50% back to them of my royalties. But I think the bigger impact is that her story gets out there, alerts the public to the fact that these wolves exist, how, that they are critically endangered. But it also tells her story. And I think that her story is just a great way to highlight various aspects of conservation to younger kids. And I think that we do need more good wolf books out there, especially ones that are a bit more realistic, that kind of highlight the conservation aspect, but also highlight how shy and elusive these animals are, that they are not the ones trying to come up and harm you or even snuggle with you. They just want to do their own thing. And her story was a great way to kind of highlight that, and also to highlight, how similar they are to us as far as being caring family members. And I just really enjoyed writing it down and getting the feedback from the kids about, how great her story is.
Yeah. Now, what and I think the name kind of explains it, but the Wolf Conservation Center, what is it exactly that they do there?
So they participate in a breeding program that is done by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And that's how they have Mexican gray wolves as well as red wolves, who are also critically endangered. In addition to that, they really do promote wolf conservation. They want to alert the public about the need to have these beautiful animals in the wild, not just because they deserve to be there, but also the critical impact that they have on the ecosystem. They are keystone species. So all other species benefit when they are present in the areas that they should be in. So those are a couple of things that the Wolf Conservation Center does, just to help conserve, natural habitat, but especially wolves.
Yeah. Now, with the name, a Mexican gray wolf, is that what it is, or Mexican wolf? Are they typically then in Mexico, or is there a reason behind the name?
Yeah, so they were in both Mexico and in the U.S. in that southern western region. So they really did have a big span when the numbers of the wolves, people noticed that they were going down. It was actually in Mexico that they captured the last remaining of the wolves, and it was seven wolves. So it was a real challenge to be able to rebuild those numbers. Mexico ended up giving the wolves to the U.S., knowing that, we had a better chance of saving the species from becoming extinct. But they did, they do participate in the program as well. So now, as the wolves were reintroduced to their natural area in the wild, it is actually Arizona, New Mexico, and Mexico, those regions where they are reintroduced into the wild. And their numbers have gone up, but again, when they're coming from 7 wolves, the wild population right now is considered full siblings. So it is challenging. One of the hopeful aspects of it is that Trumpet herself, being the only descendant from her father, who was the number 1 most genetically distinct wolf in the entire program at the time. His DNA lives through her and her family, and she has been able to have pups cross-fostered into the wild or fostered. And it was really nice because, again, her story does highlight these unique aspects of conservation. I was able to highlight the beginning process of that in the 3rd book. An amazing conservation group called Lighthawk Conservation Flying. It's a group of pilots that donate their flights to saving endangered species. They were the ones who flew her mate to the Wolf Conservation Center. So in the 3rd book, I was able to kind of have an airplane in there and showing a little bit of that process, which is really super fun for kids to read about that. That's one of the comments I get. Wolf was on the plane. But in the 3rd book, Trumpet Finds Love, it does highlight what actually happened. And as a thank you to Lighthawk Conservation Flying, Trumpet's mate was nicknamed Lighthawk. And that just opens the opportunity to talk about this amazing conservation group. Who would think about pilots when you're talking about conserving and saving endangered species? So that was a real fun aspect. And so that conservation group, they were able to fly some of her puppies out to the wild. What they do is, before the puppies are 2 weeks old, before their eyes open and they can hear, they will take them, a couple of them, and fly them out to an area where another wolf mother has puppies around the same age, and then put them in the den. Now, wolves are one of the animals that will actually adopt other puppies. And so, again, just like us, there are going to be families that have adopted children that are going to be able to read about that process. And so it's just a really amazing thing to highlight with wolves. So it was just a lot of fun to write that one down.
Yeah. And like you're saying, it can, her story then can help even children who might be experiencing the same thing. Like, hey, I'm adopted, it's very powerful when you can identify with a story character like that. I've noticed. So,
right.
Yeah. And the books are beautifully illustrated. How did you find an illustrator?
So it was through my publisher, Briley and Baxter Publications. The illustrator, Maddie Moore, super talented. She works for them. And so I was able to connect with her. And it was interesting because, I obviously got to see her portfolio. And I kind of gave her a little challenge. One of the things that I wanted for these books, I wanted kids to really relate to the wolves and not necessarily to the people, even though the people are important. All the people in the books either are somehow affiliated with the Wolf Conservation Center, either volunteering or working there. So I really, and actually one teacher who really embraced bringing the books into her classroom. That's in the latest book, Trumpet Becomes a Mom. But I did want the kids to relate to the wolves. So I told her the only faces that you can show, the full frontal face, are of the wolves. And so the people, their face has to be somewhat hidden or, looking away. So I gave her a little bit of a challenge with that, but I think it was the right thing to do, because, ultimately it's her story that needs to be told. And all of the staff, everybody that was involved in these books and had their images illustrated, agree 100%. There, show her story. Let the kids resonate with her, because they're all wolf people.
Yeah. My next question is why did you choose a pen name to write under? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my pen name is Leokadia George. Leokadia is actually my great grandmother on my mother's side, and George is my grandfather on my father's side. And I just thought it was a really great tribute to them. Just like, wolves value family, so do people. And, even when a wolf passes on, I really like to talk about, those particular wolves, and continue telling their story. I think the same is for family. My Leokadia was, she's the matriarch of our family. And, when I was young, I was actually a little scared of her. She was a very strong woman. But as I learned more about, what she has done for our family, just the respect grew. I'm so glad to be able to highlight her story at times, just to keep her in the forefront of my memory, at the very least. And George is my grandfather. He was a fun guy. He actually walked on stilts. Played chess, very, very intelligent guy, but super fun and nice guy. And I just was happy to highlight him as well. So that's how I came up with the pen name. And I know that Leokadia is a little bit more difficult to say, but it's a fun talking point. So,
yeah. Well, as someone who has grandparents that were just absolutely wonderful and meant a lot to me, I love that you honor them that way. That's really neat. Yeah. I've got to ask a bit more about Trumpet and some of her behaviors here. I had an email from, I think, your publisher or whoever it was that reached out to me first and said that you could talk a bit about her courting behavior as well as her tendency to drag deer carcasses into the den. So what's going on there?
So one of the great things that the Wolf Conservation Center has, they have live web cameras. So we can watch her behavior without having to actually be by the enclosure. And so then it is more natural behavior. And a lot of the content that I got for the books was through either videos or watching those web cameras, not necessarily, being at the enclosure, because every time we are there, they are scared. And, then they don't, have that natural behavior. So yeah, it was a great opportunity. She actually, in the fourth book, Trumpet Becomes a Mom, she actually gave birth to the 3 puppies that are in the cover and in the book. She gave birth to them in the den that has a den camera, and it was live. So everybody got to watch that, including myself. We got to watch her over the next week, caring for those puppies, nursing them, just kind of keeping them warm, snuggling with them. So it was just an amazing joy to see her come into her own, becoming a mom. And I actually teared up writing it a little bit. But it's not only that, heartfelt, and this is not in the book, but she has actually dragged in a deer skull and a deer, and another occasion, a deer rack, the rib cage, into the den, and then kept that there for, snacks for later. She's just preparing herself. She's not going to be able to go out that much. She's got to stay home and take care of the puppies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, she's a little spitfire, that one.
Yeah, that's great. And that's where I like learning about animals. Things like that. I wouldn't have thought, but yeah, I'm going to be here with my pups. I'm going to need food, so I'm going to have a little stash,
Right. And
Yeah.
they have seen, other families as well, including Lighthawk has done this on occasion, where, she doesn't have that in the den. And when the wolves get fed, they get fed through an entire deer carcass, but they will, take a leg or something like that. And he has brought the leg to the front of the den and left it there for her, knowing that she can't come out as much. And so, they obviously are thinking about their family. And even though he's not allowed in the den at that point, he still knows that she needs to eat and she needs to keep that nourishment to take care of the puppies.
Oh, that's neat. Now, for the male wolves, do the pups have to be protected from them, or do they see them as their offspring?
I don't think that they have to be protected from them, but I don't know if it is that they know that someone should be outside, just to alert for danger. If there is danger nearby, the mother will leave the den, thinking that she had done a good job finding a good spot. The puppies at that point, they're brown. They should camouflage with the ground and the darkness of the den. And then, she will run out. But someone's got to alert her that something's in the area. And that's how they are able to do that. The cross foster or foster is that typically the mom is not going to be there. And so they can go in and kind of also not only put the puppies in there, but they can give a health check to the other puppies and just make sure that they are okay. But yeah, so someone has to be outside. And for the most part, I think she just, the den is small. She doesn't want super crowding. Sometimes they will allow, when the puppies are a little bit bigger, some of the other wolves, maybe the yearlings, to come in if they would like to. But for the most part, wolves don't even go in dens. It's usually just, as the puppies are there, they kind of sleep outside. They have that, thick coat. They're pretty well protected. And so when there are no puppies around, they're usually not sleeping in a den.
Okay, yeah. I know with some animals,
right,
you got to keep the male separate because he will either attack his own children or something. They're threatened by them, I guess. But I was curious.
I don't even know if that's what exactly it entails, and each animal is different. But so wolves will only have puppies once a year, and it's at a specific time, so that when the puppies are about 7, 8, 9 months old, that they're almost fully grown physically, so that they can help with hunting and in the wintertime when it's most difficult. But other animals don't have that situation and maybe procreate multiple times a year. And it's, just that perhaps they don't, the male just wants to be able to procreate again. But it really varies from animal to animal.
Okay.
Wolf puppies are they have like a 50% survival rate. So I don't know if the male would go in and do that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was just odd question, I know, but I was just curious.
No, it's interesting.
It really is. So yeah, it's almost like they're working as a team.
Yeah.
Now, will a male have multiple I don't say wives, but or partners? Like a lion would have a pride.
Right.
Is that a similar
Typically not.
situation? Okay.
No. So wolf packs are typically mother and father, and they refer to them as pack leaders. And now instead of using like the alpha, they will use alpha male, alpha female, because they typically work as a team. The alpha male will deal with the males in the pack family,
Mm-hmm.
and the female will deal with the females in the family, but they will do it as equals.
Hmm.
And often it is the female that dictates various decision makings as far as range, because she is the one that has to select a spot that's going to be safest as far as when she's denning and having a family. So it really is a team effort that they work with as equals. So it's something that we are getting very close to as well. And I think that's an amazing thing.
So your hope is that Trumpet will be able to have more children going forward, or more
So
pups?
she has actually had multiple litters,
Hmm.
and she has had almost 30 pups so
Oh
far.
wow.
Yeah. So when she was born, she ended up becoming the most genetically distinct female in the entire population. Now that she has had multiple litters, that's no longer the case. But she's still up there because she's the only descendant from that from her father,
Hmm.
and so her genetic material is still less represented than other genetic material from other
Hmm.
wolves. But yeah, she's had multiple pups cross fostered into the wild, and she's actually had one of her puppies that was placed in Mexico, and that
Hmm.
was an adult puppy. I think she was 4 or 5 when she ended up going to Mexico. So she, I think, was either the only or one of the only wolves that has offspring in all 3 locations: Arizona, Mexico, and New Mexico. So that shows that they really needed her genetic
Yeah.
material out there to help save the species.
Hmm. That's an incredible story. Wow. I have to ask, and if um, about just to work with endangered species. I think it's important, but I want to ask, why do you think that's important? I know some would say, why don't we just let nature take its course, and if they get wiped out, they get wiped out. How would you answer that?
Yeah, well, I mean, and I could see, saying that if it wasn't basically the cause of human intervention, that
Mm,
this species, almost went extinct, fully extinct, and they did go extinct in the wild for some time. So part of it is that we didn't need to do that. We didn't need to almost eradicate this species.
mm-hmm,
And secondly, life is better in balance, and it's better in balance for us as well. It is important to have these amazing animals around us, but also in areas that we don't go in, and to be able to thrive for the ecosystem. That's something that we should embrace, and I think we are heading in that direction. And we've definitely taken significant steps in saving our ecosystem. You can see,
mm-hmm.
some of the beneficial changes that have been done over the past decades, but we do still have further to go. Obviously, this species, you have animals that are considered full siblings in the wild, that we need to, overcome. And, we are definitely meeting that challenge head on. They have an amazing team of geneticists that figure out who can pair with who, and collecting samples from the captive wolves, and also monitoring the wild wolf population. So we definitely need to continue to meet that challenge. But ultimately, it is the right thing to do to be able to have a balanced ecosystem.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think one of our responsibilities, just as humans, is to take care of our planet. Take care of the animals, the plants, everything. And like you said, especially if it's man caused, that maybe we try to reverse that and do better. I don't know. It's just an important part of our calling, that we help the world around thrive. And so I love seeing people involved in that. If someone were interested in being involved in conservation, what do we do? How do you get involved? What would be a good first step for someone?
So depending on how you wanted to be involved, there are plenty of organizations that are around the country, and around the world, that you can get involved in. Some have volunteer opportunities where you can help on site. Some have need for, grant writing, or just, kind of publicity, getting the word out, that you can help that way. You can help just by, reading better books to kids, kind of, build a society that is more respectful to wildlife. So there's a variety of ways that you can get involved. And obviously, you can call your representative and say, this is important to me. And just so that they know who they are representing, and that you want them to focus on saving our wildlife around us, and conservation.
Right. Let your voice be heard, for sure. It can make a difference. All right. Well, I have really enjoyed this conversation. Let's see. Anything coming up? You've got 4 books out already. Are you planning to write more? And what might those look like?
Yeah. So Trumpet the Miracle Wolf Pup is a series. So it starts off with Trumpet the Miracle Wolf Pup, then goes into Trumpet Grows Up. That kind of deals with growth, pup development, and the different stages. And then Trumpet Finds Love, which we talked about, is kind of a little bit of a love story. So that was fun to write. It's interesting trying to have courting behavior. And I think kids really like that. And then obviously Trumpet Becomes a Mom is the newest one. So just deals with her starting her family, but also deals with education, as far as either going to one of these facilities, in this particular one, going to the Wolf Conservation Center, signing up for a program and learning about the wolves, but also in the class, in just general in the classroom, that, the teacher can bring wolf conservation into their daily routine, or, a lesson plan around that. And then the 5th one, which I'm working on, is going to be about that first cross foster of one of her puppies that was flown out into the wild. I really wanted to highlight that there is a wild population out there of these animals, and that so that kids can kind of see that and have respect for that they don't that we don't necessarily want them in captivity. They are in captivity because we do have to overcome that genetic challenge that that they came from 7 wolves. So that's why they're in captivity, to build the numbers up. but ultimately we want them to be out in the wilds, have that wild population thriving and helping the ecosystem. And we want kids to learn to respect that and honor that.
Right. And one of the best ways is through stories. So absolutely. All right. Now, if somebody wants to find out more about you or our website, do you have a website or?
So they can email me, leokadiageorge.books@gmail.com. If they want to read about my bio or some of the talks I've done, they can visit Briley Baxter Publications. I'm one of the authors there, and I'm under Leokadia George, so that would be the way to find me. But they can find my bio there. If they would like to learn more about Trumpet and or Mexican gray wolves or wolves in general, they can visit NYWCC.wolf.org. That's the Wolf Conservation Center's website. Trumpet also has a bio, and like I highlighted before, she has those live web cameras, so that's really fun to watch. And
those cameras are available to the public?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's very helpful because if they're, obviously staff is limited to the staff that they have. So not everybody can be watching the cameras at all times. They have other things they need to do as well. So if something's going on, they can be alerted that, hey, we saw this on the camera. And that's very helpful. So they really encourage people to watch and just let them know.
All right. Well, Monica, thank you so much for coming on and for telling Trumpet's story. We hope the best for that, for them. And, thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thank you. It was great to speak with you.
Yeah, you bet. Well, you take care.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Thanks again, Monica, for coming on and giving of your time and for all the work that you and others are doing there at the New York Wolf Conservation Center. She mentioned a website for the Conservation Center, and I'll make sure to link that in the show notes. I went on after our interview and started looking at some of the webcams they have up, and actually there were a few that actually had wolves on them. They were just kind of laying around and looking around, digging around, doing dog stuff. So it was a lot of fun, and if I'm not careful, I could spend a lot of time on those webcams. I have yet to catch Trumpet on one, but I did see a couple others on the webcams, and so that was really neat. But yeah, if you have a kid at home, they might enjoy watching that. I know even locally there are some eagle cams that I've enjoyed watching. It's so neat, especially when the eagles give birth and the little baby eagles are in the nest, and you can watch the mom and dad kind of interact with the baby. I think technology in this case is such a benefit to us at a time like this, where we can sit and watch these eagles and wolves and see them without disrupting their behavior. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure I had let you know that I tried those out. Those links are really, really helpful website, especially if you're a teacher or a homeschool parent. This would be something that you would find, I think, very beneficial to your instruction time. But all right, that'll be it for me today. Thanks again for everyone for joining me with these 100 episodes. Here's to 100 more. As I mentioned, there are links in the show notes you might want to check out, including ways you can help support the podcast financially. But the best way is to just share this on social media, like and subscribe, thumbs up, all the things that we do for such things that help us get the word out. Everyone go home and hug your fur baby and do what you can to help protect the world around us. It's a beautiful planet full of marvelous creatures. And I'm so thankful that we live in a place like this. With that, I hope you all take care. Happy reading, and I'll see you next time.